All right, and we're live. Okay, we are WT USAT Data and Facts, and I'm Steph. This is Don, Mr. Sound 3 Gold Mines guy. And today we're
and
gonna
more.
and more. So we've got a whiteboard here. Some of the things we're gonna talk about, but first we want to start with the Belgian Open 2025 G1 results. Just finished today. We got some, our US athletes did really well. We came in third overall. I know it was a G1, but being in Europe, you just have a higher quality of competition, don't we, Don?
Absolutely, we sure did. And
Right? You want to go over those results,
yeah,
how well we did?
all right. So last week at the G2 Dutch Open, we managed a gold and silver. That was Jonathan Healy and CJ Nicholas, respectively. And a lot of the same people came to this Belgian Open, a G1,
Yeah.
but many did not. And there are also some newcomers. So it was a different field, but still a strong field, and we did well. So just in general, in summary, France sort of did the best. They had 3 golds, 4 silver, and 7 bronze. Our athletes defeated several of the French athletes. Thailand, especially in the lighter weight categories, got 3 gold and 2 bronze. And we ended up with 2 gold and 3 silver. Brazil just had a couple athletes there. They got 2 golds. And there's a bunch of other countries that
So
won some medals too.
let's go over who got what.
Yes.
So let's start with the boys got the gold.
The boys got the gold. Again, Jonathan Healy for the 3rd time in a row.
Big John.
3rd G event in a row.
I like his beard.
US Open G2, Belgian Open Dutch Open G2, and Belgian Open G1. Gold at all 3 events. So way to go, John Healy.
Yeah, he's really
he's on a tear.
And he looked so quick.
Quick.
Holy crap. I've never seen him move that quick. I mean, this guy is a big giant.
Yeah.
A gentle giant, except for in the ring. He's not so gentle.
Right.
But his tree trunk legs are just like whoosh, in the face.
Yeah.
Up high.
Up high.
Down low.
Excellent.
The guy's too slow. It's very impressive lately watching Jonathan.
He really has been dominating.
Yeah, it's exciting. He's been exciting to watch. There's no like standing around like a refrigerator.
Yeah, no.
Usually the big guys don't. There's not a lot of action. They're usually kind of not so fun to watch. But Jonathan's really been.
Yeah, especially in the last few years, it's picked up.
Yes, he has.
I think I'm going to attribute that to Cheek Cisse, who moved up from minus 80 to 87.
I love Cisse.
And he's very quick. And so the big guy said, this quickness thing matters.
Yeah.
So they've all been working on that. And John Healy, way to go.
Yeah, I definitely see a difference.
Yeah.
All right.
CJ
Nicholas.
Minus 80. Last week, he got a silver to Joaquin Churchill Martinez from Chile, who's always had close fights with CJ.
Beat him today.
He beat him today in the semifinals.
Yep.
And then CJ went on to kind of dominate his finals match against
who we fight in the Olympics, correct?
Farzad Mansouri.
Yep.
Who I think might have been from Afghanistan. He's considered a refugee now. And he's a good fighter at the Olympics. CJ won. Way to go, CJ. He's on a tear too.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
And then we had some new results. We had 3 silvers.
Yep.
And we're sticking with the guys. So we got the youngster.
Victor,
not Lucas's dad.
His dad.
I have a mental block.
I don't know why you always call him Lucas.
I always go, Victor.
Victor Rodriguez.
Looked fantastic.
Yes.
But he had a tough final against Denmark. He got a silver to Denmark.
Yeah.
But he hadn't lost a round before that. Looked great in 74. Yeah. He's going to be doing some 80 work. But he's number 1 for the U.S. athletes in 68.
Yep.
So he's a either way guy, I guess.
He is, yeah.
So he's looking really good, and he's like 18, I think.
Yeah, he's really, because he was a junior last year when I forget which tournament it was. He won basically 6 fights and he lost to Calfani.
Yeah, team trials.
Was that team trials?
Yeah.
Okay.
And in that team trials, he had defeated 5 guys, but it included Mako Rodriguez and Isaiah Young. Right. He ran the table basically.
Right.
Except for 2nd and 3rd rounds against.
And that was
Calfani.
in 68, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this year he's our 74 team trial team member, national team member, going to Worlds in '74.
Yep.
And so we have, he looks like a young stud star.
Yep.
Way to go, Victor. And then we've got
Ladies.
two ladies. We've got, first of all, let's talk about Sofia Osaguro.
Wow. So she's been fighting in 53. You know, she did great, but now she's made the jump and now she's fighting. Her points always went to 49, but she mostly fought in 53.
Yes.
But now she's actually fighting in 49, and I didn't realize how tall and lean she is. She's got these long ass legs, and she's quick. She got the silver.
Yes.
And she actually beat Mayamada.
Yeah.
Who's fantastic as well. So
and our national team member.
Yep, that was a tough fight, and also is on the Charlotte Grand Prix Challenge list.
Right, we'll come to that.
But we're going to get back to that's on our
in our
list.
second block.
Yep, that's segue.
Okay.
So, and then she went on to fight
Thailand.
Well, that in the finals.
Yes.
The girl from Thailand, I think, is the new Panapak.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, she is.
Seekin.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And the first round, Sophia didn't know what to do with this girl. And it was, a high score to low score. It wasn't pretty. But the second round, Sophia was like the Borg. She adapted and
prepare to be assimilated.
And she only lost 1-2, and that was with a punch. So it was, she kept the girl from scoring. It was very close. I am super proud of Sophia because that kind of experience you can't buy.
Right. And we'll come back to talk about her some more.
Yep.
And then the other silver medal was Christina Teachout, who moved up in weight.
Yep. She did 73.
Looking pretty strong and big in 73.
Yep.
And she obliterated her opponents until the final against Cote d'Ivoire.
Yeah.
A tall, lanky, muscular, quick, athletic athlete from Cote d'Ivoire who had no ability to really do much to her. All of her, attack techniques did not work because she couldn't get in close enough.
Christina's quick and super strong.
Yeah.
And this girl was also very strong and taller.
And just as quick.
And very good at blocking. So, I mean, it was... Christina really didn't have time to adapt, but it was really good experience for her in that weight class.
Right.
So now I don't know if she's going to keep that weight class.
Who knows?
But
well, we had heard that that might be our new weight class at the U.S. Open. We heard that.
We'll see.
We'll see.
It's 73. You can go down back to 67. So
yeah, a lot of athletes do that kind of stuff.
But anyway.
So anyway, that's them. And then all of our U.S. athletes, we had, I believe, 9 U.S. athletes there. We talked about 5.
I thought it was 8.
We forgot about Chris Allen in 58.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So Chris Allen and Calfani won their first matches. So did Ariella Artagami. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. In 49 as well. All 3 of our U.S. athletes won one side of the bracket. It was a very tough draw for them.
Yeah, it was.
Because they're fighting each other, including the one we mentioned in the quarterfinal. So that's great. And off we go.
So what we need, though, is more gold medals.
More gold medals.
We need to continuously improve. It's never good to just say, oh, we did so good, and then just kind of flat. And we need more.
Right.
We need more. More is better.
Yes, more is better.
More gold.
Yeah, and we're talking the Olympics, aren't we?
Yeah, well, in any tournament, but the way to get to the Olympics, what we really want, the ultimate goal is more gold medals at the Olympics. Yes, World Championships is good too. That's a G14. But the Olympics is what everybody remembers, and that is a G20. So we need more gold medals at the Olympics. Period.
Yes.
Period.
So that's a perfect segue into our next topic.
Yes.
Which is the Charlotte Grand Prix Challenge in late June this year.
Yep.
There's going to be 3 of these things. And why are they important?
Because it gets you to the Grand Prix in the finals.
In 2026.
In 2026.
Yes.
What you have to be invited to.
Right.
And that's a G6, correct?
It will be a G6.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's probably going to be in Rome. The Roma Grand Prix is usually in June of the year it's held. So I believe that's going to be June of 2026. And this is important. The way you get to the Olympics in 2028 is from points you get
in 2026.
From June of 2026, starting with this Grand Prix,
yes,
all the way to, the early part of 2028. And so that's
so you want to go to
yeah,
this Grand Prix in 2026.
yeah.
How do we get there, Don? How do we get to 2026 Grand Prix?
You win a medal at this Charlotte Grand Prix Challenge. That gets you to the first. This is the first challenge. Gets you to the first Grand Prix
in 26.
In 26. The other way to get to that Grand Prix,
yes, explain.
is points that you accumulate in this cycle.
Yep, 24 to 26.
Currently working on from 24 to 26. Athletes that are working on now. They haven't decided or announced. Well, they may have decided, but they have not announced the schedule for which points get you into which Grand Prix. So normally the first 3 Grand Prix in the year, 30 athletes invited, and they take the top 30 in the Olympic
rankings, not world rankings, Olympic rankings.
Right, from a specific time.
Yes.
So it might be, for example, I'm making this up, it might be January of 26, the top 30 get invited to the June Grand Prix, and then February and March or whatever, April and May, get invited to the later ones. The Grand Prix final at the end of the year is for the top 15, 16. So that's different. So Grand Prix are very important.
Yes.
And what a great opportunity for all U.S. and world athletes to get an automatic qualification to this Grand Prix. Because you can assume that we're going to have some athletes in the top 30 that are going to get an invitation. So they don't necessarily need to get a medal here. But since it's open...
But so you have to be chosen by applying for this Grand Prix, which I think they've already done. I'll let you go over that.
Sure.
The chosen, the rules, the criteria, and the loophole rules.
Yeah.
That might be adjusted, and who's missing that should be on the list. And those that aren't on the list for this Charlotte Grand Prix Challenge, what can you do to possibly get yourself through to the other Grand Prix?
Right.
Which makes you in the top 30 that you could be allowed to go.
Good point. I'll remember that because I have an answer for part of that.
Okay.
Okay.
Go.
So the WT in early March told all the nations that, oh, by the way, we're restricting the number of athletes to the Grand Prix Challenge. We're only allowing 50 per division, so that's 400 for the total for the 8 divisions that there are, Olympic divisions. And, oh, by the way...
There's only 188 that registered.
No, that's just the first day.
Oh, okay.
So there's 400 total, 50 per weight division, and a nation is only allowed 4 to nominate 4 to be allowed in. So all of a sudden, USA Taekwondo said, oh my gosh, we got to come up with a criteria to decide which 4 athletes...
I know where you're going with this.
They're going to go. And they also said, as soon as they got this, the March rankings came out on March 3rd. It was March 8th, I believe, that USA Taekwondo said, express interest if you want to be considered for the Charlotte Grand Prix. And you've got until March 9th or 10th. So anyway, there's just a few days. I might have a couple of those numbers slightly wrong, but it's generally correct. And so you only had a couple of days to express interest, and apparently a lot of people did. In that same time period, USAT came up with their criteria. And they went with a very mechanistic approach, and I'm not going to fault them for that, but it does, every criteria you come up with, there's going to be some loopholes, like you said, that some people are going to fall through the cracks. And some people might actually take advantage of it because of their situation. So the criteria USAT came up with is the first 2 spots were going to be the 2 weight divisions in that Olympic category. So for example, in 49, that's 49 and then 46. Those 2 people who are on the national team for 2025, not 2024, the brand new team from January this year, were offered those spots if they expressed interest.
In Olympic rankings?
No, that's team
or world ranking.
Team.
Okay.
That's national team.
Oh, for the first 2 spots.
National team.
Okay.
So, for example, in 49, that was Maya Mata in 49 and Caliana Fonseca in 46. And there's other examples like that in other weight classes. And then they went to if the offside, if the world weight division team member, so for example, female 53 or female 62 or female minus 73 or male, 74, those people were given the opportunity to then join in where they fit in as number 3. And then they went to World Taekwondo Olympic rankings in March. And then after that, if they were necessary, they went to USAT national rankings below that. And that happened in one case. So that sounds complicated, but you know what happened? As soon as you set a criteria, it's very simple to decide, okay, here's the results. Because you just set the criteria, they know who the national team members are, they know what the March Olympic points were, and they had one little loophole where they said, oh, by the way, we're going to allow results from the Dutch Open to count up until March 10th in case that makes a difference. And that might have made a difference for 2 athletes. It would have made a difference for Sofia Osagura in 49 if she had won a silver medal.
And at the Dutch Open.
At the Dutch Open. And, if she'd won even a bronze medal. And then also in men's minus 80, it would have made a difference for Isaiah Young, who competed there and was invited by USAT. If he had won a silver medal, he would have then qualified to be put into the minus 80 category. And we'll come back to that. So those are the 2 kind of loopholes there. So you want to talk about what happened?
You mean who
got picked?
Who got picked? Yeah. So they picked Maya Mata.
Yep.
Who I think really deserves it.
Oh yeah.
And then who was the other girl from 46 that they picked?
Caliana Fonseca.
Fonseca. Uh-huh. And then you've got the list. I don't have it in front of me. Who's
Melina Daniel.
Melina Daniel.
Who was actually number 1 in that Olympic weight category and won the 53 at the US Open.
Yeah, she did 53.
Which is why she's number 1 in that weight category.
But I think her points went to 49. So
yes.
Yeah.
And she has up until recently fought in 49 frequently. So she goes back and forth.
But then they picked Kayla Morales.
Who's like 25 years old.
No, she's like 26.
26 years old.
And over Sofia Osagura.
Right.
And because of...
And other people, too. There were other people in between there, too.
Yeah.
That could have been picked.
So, and... Yeah, I don't like to talk, down on any athletes because, the fact that 26 and you're still competing, I think is amazing.
Right.
So that's wonderful. But I really felt like, Sofia Osagura kind of got...
Yeah. And also, Ariella Artagami, who competed this week at the Belgian Open, she actually had more points than Sofia did in March Olympic rankings. And she also has an opportunity to, show her stuff and maybe get picked. But the rules were the rules. The criteria were the criteria. And so that's what happened. However,
the loophole.
There's a new loophole.
There's a new loophole, which might...
Yeah, I don't know if it's a good idea.
What, to say that?
No, to do it. But
what, to qualify?
Yeah, so USAT...
It would qualify Sofia Osagura
okay, so
to be on the list if you registered a 5th one.
Yeah, so... Yeah, could I explain that?
Yes.
Okay. So Spain actually registered 5 athletes for female 57. And I'm thinking, why the heck did they do that? Well, as it turns out, you're not forbidden from registering 5 athletes. You're only allowed 4 to finally be in the batch. And so Spain went ahead and registered 5. This would be kind of crazy, but USAT could choose to modify their rules, but then they'd be modifying the rules and say, oh, we're now going to include the results from the Belgian Open. And registration for the Charlotte Grand Prix is open until like April 26th. So USAT could pull a fast one. And this would be,
Well, they should have included it in the beginning. Yeah. I don't think they were thinking. I don't know who came
They were
up with
thinking
these
that
rules.
they wanted to apply by March 14th. They wanted to get all the names in by March 14th.
Well, that's fine, but you still had these opens all back to back,
I know. And there's more coming up.
Right.
In Europe, there's all kinds of opens for the next 2 months. So
But
what would happen if they included the results from the Belgian Open? Well, Sofia Segura got a silver medal at 6 points. That would put her ahead of Kayla Morales and jump over also Ariela Artagami, who got stuck in the quarterfinals, I believe it was. And so she got fewer points. And actually, Miyamada would also move up a couple of points, but she's already in, so that doesn't matter. So if they did this, Sofia Segura would be in, and then either Kayla Morales or Kaliana Fonseca would be booted because of the way WT does it. And so they'd be very upset. And I wouldn't blame them. I'd go to arbitration if I was in their situation. But so I don't think USAT is going to do this. This is just an example of kind of complications.
But to go back to what the goal is, more gold medals at the Olympics. You want your best of your best. You want your best athletes to go the pathway to get there.
That's a great point.
So if you're making like silly rules that aren't going to help your best of your best get there, you know, that you're cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Yeah, and we've got two other examples of this in the women, and then we can talk a little bit about the men. So
57.
Yeah, the women in both 57 and 67, some anomalies occurred, again, because of the rules, but specifically because WT used to, up until this year, they used to allow athletes to change their Olympic weight division in January of each year.
Right.
This year they changed it till May. They changed it till May at the end of this first part of the cycle.
God, why can't they just be consistent with the rules?
It's because they changed the rules.
They just
and
keep
so
changing all the time.
Therefore, two athletes in the female ranks got snookered, which means trapped. So Montana Miller, who's a young, extremely tall. She's like 5'11". She's 5'11".
She had to move up to 57 because she's so
She's
tall.
never doing 49 again.
And she's still skinny.
May never do 53, but she could do 57.
Yeah.
I talked to her dad.
She looks great at 57. She did really good at US Open.
57. She'd be a super candidate for the 2028, runoffs, competing against Faith Dillon, Caitlin Cox, some of these other people, Jada Vo and others, new juniors coming up. And she'd be in the running for sure to be a candidate for 28. But no, she was trapped in 49 for her Olympic weight division. So even though her world points in 57 would have gotten her in, her Olympic points in 57 don't exist. So she's out.
It screwed her over.
The same thing happened to Chloe Chua in 67, where her points are going to 57. She got a silver medal at the US Open in 67 this year, but sorry, that doesn't count for the Olympic ranking because you're not in that category. So she and Montana Miller got kind of messed up. And she is also a young, hard-charging, big athlete who is a real candidate. So that's what happened there.
So what would you recommend for those athletes that aren't on the list for the challenge?
Get funding to go to the other two challenges.
Yeah, and be on the top 30, in the top 30.
Well, yeah, but that's going to be really hard because if you don't go to the Grand Prix, there's another thing. The Grand Prix Challenge is a G2, and it's extra points.
Yeah, so you max out
extra 20 points.
You can only max out 40 points a year, right?
Yeah.
And so,
with exceptions.
For an example, Michael Rodriguez in minus 87.
Yeah.
He got 2 golds, so he's already the Canada Open and US Open. So he's got 40 points. So he can't get any more points this year unless...
Well, there's 3 things.
Well, okay, this is one of them.
Yes.
This Grand Prix Challenge allows you to get more points.
Yes. It allows you to get up to 20 more points. The still to be scheduled Pan American President's Cup is a G3 now, so that's a potential to 30 points.
It used to be a G2.
And then Worlds for seniors is up this year, and that's a G14. You could get 140 points.
Yeah, so those are like the 40 glass ceiling.
Yeah, so Michael Rodriguez is going to the Worlds, as are people like Victor Rodriguez and the normal people that we talk about. But Montana Miller is not. Chloe Chua is not. And Sofia Segura is not. So these 20 points would have been very important to them because they're not going to Worlds. they can still go to the President's Cup when it gets scheduled.
Right.
Very important, President's Cup.
And somehow get funding for the other Grand Prix.
Yes. So in the guys category, not too many surprises, except Victor Rodriguez, who's our men's minus 74 guy going to Worlds.
Yep.
He chose minus 80. He went up instead of down. So maybe he's thinking ahead to the 2028 Olympics and saying, I'm not going to stay a skinny young guy. I'm going to be...
Yeah, he's only 18, I think.
I'm going to put on 18. A little bit more muscle and be like CJ, a super muscular, super athletic minus 80 guy.
Yeah.
So maybe he's thinking that. Smart decision. There is a guy in 68 who probably can't do 68, and that's Isaiah Young.
Yeah.
Who just competed last week in minus 80, not minus 74, minus 80. And rumor is he has trouble making 68 for the last year or two. So he's in for the Grand Prix Challenge at 68. I hope he doesn't get hurt or sick or, physiologically injured by trying to make 68. If you can't make it, just drop out and somebody else can take your place. But that may be why he went to the Dutch Open to try and get a silver medal and get into the minus 80. So he's got a weight issue.
You want some of this?
Yeah. Some of the other people that we are familiar with, minus 68's got Mako Rodriguez, Galfani Harris, Diego Pineda, and Isaiah Young. Great setup. All of our males in all the categories look pretty good. And the favorites, of course, are William Cunningham in 58, Mako Rodriguez in 68, CJ, obviously, in 80, and Jonathan Healy, of course. Nobody's going to touch. Well, it'll be not funny. It'll be very interesting to watch Mako Rodriguez fight Jonathan Healy if they get that opportunity. I want to see that fight.
And there's some other black belts that could be reactivated.
William Finley.
We will get to, yeah. William Finley, yeah.
We looked him up. How old do you think he is?
I think he's 23, 24.
Yeah.
And he's in the
his
perfect
workout routines.
Oh my gosh. The guy's a beast.
He's a beast.
I mean, he doesn't ever get tired.
Yeah, he might have applied, but he doesn't have any, he doesn't
have any points because he won nationals in 23 in heavyweights, and then he went to do combat taekwondo.
Right.
Number one, the first one ever in Bogota, Colombia.
Yeah.
That's like on ESPN in South America. That was great.
Yeah.
But he's one that we could reactivate, which is on the list that we're gonna talk about in a little bit.
That would have been an opportunity. Let's say he applied, expressed interest. That would have been a situation where, rules be damned. If we want to have, we have very thin ranks in both male and female heavyweights. So if you wanted a, wild card,
Wild
card.
Dark
horse, a dark
Black Ops,
a dark, dark horse, which
I like
is
the wild
somebody
card.
that might win, but you're not sure.
Come here, baby.
Should have picked that guy.
Yeah.
I want to see him fight both Michael Rodriguez and Jonathan Healy.
That would be great. Yeah. All right. So
go to a state, go to nationals, get in team trials for next year. William.
All right. Next on the list is, and this is completely changing the subject, is I asked Don the other day, I go, who do you think of all the Olympic athletes that USA has produced that have gone to the Olympics since 2012 to present, which 2024? I go, who are those coaches?
Right.
I go, we need a coaches list who has produced Olympic athletes. And Don did the genie thing and went, bing.
I'm just writing one down right now.
And he looked them all up, and he's going to go over the top coaches.
Right.
Who they're actually not, and some of them aren't even on the top 50 list. Which
they don't all do
still
that.
haven't got to update yet. But
oh yeah, I need to look into that.
Yeah.
So we picked 2012 to 24 because that's the electronic era.
PSS era.
PSS, Dado, and KPMP.
Which I have to say that it's gotten better.
What'd you think of KPMP today?
I thought it was good. I did see, I saw CJ having to work 3 times harder than his opponent to get points.
Chile. Yes, Chile.
Was that the one, or was it Azerbaijan?
It was that one.
I think it was that one.
Chile.
Yeah. So, but but that's just CJ. He figures out a way to adapt and conquer.
Well, his adapt and conquer was
And
jump high and
his stamina is incredible. But he shouldn't. I mean, if the stuff works properly, and there were a lot of we saw a lot of helmets being replaced, but I have to say that they're doing it quickly, and KPMP has a better integrated system for IVR and everything else. It's all, I guess it's better than Dado because it's not separate.
right.
But I thought it was good
Yeah.
overall compared to what it used to be.
So I have a list of USA coaches, and
Who have produced
we're really
Olympic
thinking
athletes.
American coaches,
Yeah, well,
not just coaches that coach in the United States. Because current national team, Gareth Brown is from Great Britain. We think he's a contractor to USAT, not an employee. But anyway, that's just a subtlety. But anyway, I've come up with a list of 11. You want to hear them?
yeah.
Okay. So this will sort of be in chronological order, starting from the 2012 era. Juan Moreno, 2 athletes, Terrence Jennings and Paige McPherson,
212.
both medalists in the Olympics.
Which years? 212.
In 12, and then in 12.
So and they medaled.
In 12.
So we're just talking about which coaches got athletes to the Olympics.
And we're including athletes that represented other countries.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Oh, I forgot one. And I'll come back to that. No, I got that one.
Okay.
I forgot an athlete who's competed, and I'll try to remember. All right.
Number 2.
Jean Lopez. Yep. Of course, the whole Lopez family.
Yep.
Stephen and Diana competed in 2012. Stephen went on to compete in 2016. Mark competed before that, but we're not counting him because that was before the electronic era. So the Lopez family. Jeffrey Williams, a coach from the Midwest, coached Carolina Karstens, who competed, I think, twice for Panama at the Olympics. But she's a dual citizen, American Panamanian.
Oh, wow.
Gary Galloway, father of Jackie. Jeff Pitterock, I believe that's who Stephen Lambden's primary coach was. Not sure how long he coached him, but that's the name that keeps coming up on the internet. Jeff Pitterock from Texas. Dennis White.
Yep.
For the one and only Anna Zolotic. And, he coached her entire
career,
cadet and probably youth, cadet, and junior career. I think she lost like one match at the Austrian Open or something once as a junior. I don't think she ever lost again until the Junior Olympics. I think she got silver there too.
She did.
Yeah. So anyway, and she was injured. She had a broken hand. So unbelievable athlete and a great coach. Good guy, Dennis White. Gianni Giambi with John Healy.
Yep.
And Gianni Giambi also is a coach for Michael Rodriguez and others. So yeah, Gianni Giambi. Ed Givens. Who I believe coached Cheyenne Lewis, but she didn't get to the Olympics. But his son, CJ Nicholas, obviously has gone to a couple Olympics and is going to go to more.
And he was also part of CUDA too.
Yes. Gurgley Salim, speaking of California.
Yeah.
Faith Dillon and his son Omar have gone to the Olympics. And the young daughter, looking pretty impressive.
Yeah, I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I forget it now. It's Alicia.
She did 40. Like she won 46 at the U.S. Open.
Yeah, so she can grow a little bit. She's still growing, probably. Way to go, Christina Teachout's coach. I believe it's Master Han from West Palm Beach, and I believe it's Young So Han is the name of that gentleman. Not sure if he's an American citizen or not, but he coached her.
He coached her from 6 years old till she was 17.
Yeah, although she went to the academy when she was still 14 years old.
Did she really?
14. She was still 14 when
she went to the academy at 14.
Her parents allowed her to go to the academy.
Oh, wow.
And so that's an anomaly that won't happen anymore because apparently
they only
allow 18 and up, which is a huge mistake, obviously.
They should have a chaperone program.
Chaperones.
Yeah.
Protect these youngsters and get them some excellent training because that's just going to mess us up.
That doesn't help get more gold medals at the Olympics. That will not
help USAT. No. That will not help get more gold medals.
We need more pipeline athletes at the academy.
And Grandmaster Yui Lee with Allison Ann, who competes for Gambia. And his daughter didn't quite make it, Ava Soon Lee. but he coached Allison and at the Olympics.
Okay.
And he's another peak coach,
Yeah.
aligned with Mr. Marino. And I think Terrence Jennings.
He did MMA too. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we saw
we
that
learned that on their podcast.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That was a fun podcast those guys had.
That was fun.
We've got something to aim for. All right, so those
we're
are
not
coaches.
that fun because they're.
And we brought that up because some of these names, some of these coaches might have actually sort of stepped back a bit, or don't have a current crop of top athletes. But let's not forget about these people.
Right.
And we heard that USAT tried to get Gurgley Salim involved.
You said it was that close.
It was that close.
Was it because
he didn't want to move, apparently?
Oh, that's right. He didn't want to move to North Carolina.
Yeah, he's got a huge business in Los Angeles. He can't move. He's not going to move.
They should make an exception.
Yeah, his whole family. He's got a massive school, one of the best schools in the country.
They should just contract him out.
Yeah, exactly.
USAT brags about having all this money.
Yeah.
Let's put it towards good coaches and good students.
They could contract all kinds of things.
Oh, yeah.
Blink, wink, wink. Yeah, okay. So that was a list of coaches for gold medals.
It was the list of coaches, not just for gold medals.
Yeah, who had Olympic athletes.
Who had Olympic athletes that went to the Olympics.
This next one is mostly yours. So what about reactivation of black belts?
It's I just keep talking to Don, and I keep saying, we got to reactivate the black belts that have dropped out, that are in the age range of 18 to 24. That's a peak range. Yeah. And there's so many athletes, like you were doing the data, the chart showing that from 17 to 19, like over half of the black belts drop off.
Oh, way more than half.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I'm thinking, like, what the hell is USAT doing? They need a reactivation program. I know I was raised in very religious, and when members of the church stopped going to church as often, they actually took attendance. Mormons took attendance. They literally would reactivate them. They would seek out these people. And I don't understand why USAT isn't doing that. Seek out these black belts that have quit for whatever reason. They need or retired. They need an incentive. They need motivation. And I know Sherman Nelson is very good at motivating. Isn't he like a pastor or something?
Yeah, well, he's also kind of a charismatic, talkative guy.
Yeah. I mean, reach out to these black belts. You have a list somewhere. Somebody go through the list. Don would do it if he had that list.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but anyway.
Well, if they paid
help you make a list.
If they paid you,
yeah,
contracted you out.
Yeah, whatever.
But somebody make a list. You have the data. The data is available to look up these black belts that are in this age group, 18 to 24. That can help the pipeline. We're going to talk later in another podcast about the pipeline, because we need to be looking at the cadets and the juniors.
I can think of one right now who might be at the top of that age scale. You said 24.
Just give an example.
Tiana Chai Chang, who was in 49, and she used to beat everybody in that weight class. Went to Worlds and juniors a couple times. Started off in seniors, won some G events, and was looked like a world beater, but then she dropped out.
Yeah, this is just my opinion, but I think that USAT needs a reactivation program to seek out the retirees that quit when they're 17 years old, that are black belts. They're in the Olympic 2028 range to go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
What would it take? How do you motivate them? Give them like scholarships or something. I don't know.
And especially
GoFundMe accounts or something.
Especially in our
there's only like 1,800 black belts in the whole country of the United States that could qualify to even go to the Olympics.
Okay, and there are only like a handful of actually competing heavyweights. So, where are the heavyweights?
What point are you making? Because that's where we need more.
We don't have 1,500. We got like 4 heavyweights.
We need more.
Female. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's I just wanted to make that point, that we need a reactivation program. I don't know. The only way to get to the Olympics is through USA Taekwondo. Okay. It's not AAU. That's the grassroots program. I love AAU, but you ain't going to the Olympics through AAU. You have to go through USA Taekwondo. And USA Taekwondo has a shit ton of members who used to be members that quit or retired that are within this age group.
Yeah.
Why? What has happened to them? Reactivate them. Find a way to remotivate them. And I know a lot of it is money.
Yeah. So I will say, though, that a lot of the athletes we're talking about and a lot of the athletes that were selected for the Grand Prix, the Charlotte Grand Prix Challenge, and have high rankings in the Olympic rankings, the WT Olympic rankings and USAT rankings, came or participated at AAU.
Yeah, they did.
Because AAU, to their credit, they have no data available, but they
None.
have photographs available. They have photographs of their national teams available from 2023, not 2024, 2023 and backwards. So I actually went through those and I found huge numbers. That's actually how I found the coaches of some of these athletes.
They came from AAU.
Because the AAU would say, here's this team member, and that's their coach. So yeah, that's how I found Carolina Carstens, for example, Jeffrey Williams being her coach.
Okay.
From AAU's records that they put online. Here's a photo and a little story about our national team members.
And this applies also to AAU. What's the drop in 17 to 19 in AAU too? AAU people, go through your records too.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're not available publicly, but
they've got a new committee of leadership.
Well, they should have a reactivation program as well, because like you said, a lot of these athletes do AAU and USAT when they get to a certain level.
Right.
But again, the only way to get to the Olympics is through USA Taekwondo.
Right.
So there's that.
Yeah. So
that's my theory, and I'm sticking with it.
Well done.
Okay.
I like your theory.
All right.
Okay. So now I think we're just going to give a little teaser. Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah, we're pretty much done, other than you were still working on USA Taekwondo's financials, trying to find them, which was very difficult. And they're a 501c3, which is a nonprofit organization. So their documents should be publicly available and transparent, like with their meeting minutes and all this stuff, which are not consistent. So Don has had a really hard time digging through all kinds of databases that are not connected to each other to find some financials. But you did find some, and you did post some charts.
Well, I have found their Form 990 reports. A lot of them, some of them up until 2022 are on the USAT website. 2023 is not, although it was released in November. They put out these reports. These are required reports for nonprofits, and USAT puts them out in November, mid-November each year for the previous year. So, for example, we're not going to see 2024 data until November of 2025. So that's a huge lag. It's a whole year. And they don't talk about it except at board minutes. So a couple things. Here's a chart. These are revenues.
I heard that.
And sources. I think everybody did because of the mic.
Your burp.
Yeah, sorry. It's the smoke.
Yeah, it's not the beer.
It couldn't be this.
It couldn't be your banquet.
So these are revenues, and you see it's going up. And it's going up because the money they're making from national events has gone up significantly.
Yeah, they're charging
Member dues are recovering and climbing rapidly.
Because
they're making a lot of money on what they call the high performance training and TKD University. I'm not sure where all that money's coming from, actually. That's some of the challenges.
I haven't heard any.
Where did this come from?
Yeah, like
now there's a number of $440,000 in 22 and 23 that just shows up out of nowhere for high performance training. I don't know who's sponsoring that. It's not the U.S. Olympic Committee, because that's a different number. And then they got some other numbers, and then the U.S. Olympic Committee has been granting them around $750,000 to $865,000 a year. So in 2023, most years were available $4.4 million in revenues, which is a new record in this period. And then in the mid 2025 July board meeting, management told the board that they had an increase over budget of $661,000 in event fees and an extra $121,000 in member dues, because those are going up a lot. And they were sitting on somewhere between $800,000 and $900,000 in cash. So that's the mystery to me, because these are just the revenue side of the equation. here's a boring table that shows the expenses. And
you've posted this on our site.
I posted it.
On
It's
our
hard
Facebook
to
site.
figure out because it's not clear if some of these items and the expenses are cash or not. And so, and another thing is, every year, even though those revenues are going up, every single one of these years, the numbers that USAT puts out shows more expenses, and sometimes a lot more expenses.
And
So
yet we have less and less active members.
Yeah, but they're saying they're sitting on a whole bunch of cash. So that's the mystery to me. In 2022, they supposedly lost $648,000. And in 2023, they either lost another 475 or 1.8 million. So a total of up to 2.4 million in the hole. And somehow they're sitting on $900,000 in cash. I don't get it. I would like to audit their books.
Doge, TKD.
But they say they're sitting on a whole bunch of cash, which means why not fund a bunch of cadets
Juniors,
that are going to World Cadets? How about juniors next year going to Junior Worlds?
Reactivation program.
And something going on there. We seem to have a new member of the Academy, which is where all the money is going. They're spending an extra $1 million.
Yeah, all the money's in Charlotte.
And, sponsoring the Academy. And there's only like 6-7 athletes. Maya Mata appears to be a new athlete at the Academy, but it doesn't seem to be official. And we won't ever know if it's official because they never say what's official.
They never list their athletes there.
How about listing your athletes? And there's different categories of athletes at the Academy.
They have different levels.
They got different tiers or levels, whatever they're called. And that means they get more money. So, for example, in 2023, the athletes of the Academy got $193,000 in stipends and performance fees. So $193,000 spread across up to 12 athletes, and some education credits, the money there. They spent how much going internationally? They spent $700,000 in 2023 going to international events, and most of that was for Academy athletes. $400,000 in 2022. So that's where a lot of the money's going. Plus, of course, they've hired some extra staff who are in Charlotte. And Charlotte, the place, is costing, we thought they were going to get this great deal when they moved from Colorado Springs, the Olympic Center, to this new sponsored facility in North Carolina. But the occupancy charges for their office, so in other words, their office space, the rent, let's call it rent or lease, went from like $20,000 a year in Colorado Springs to in 2023, $372,000.
Jesus Christ.
That's a difference.
And that money is just not going to the athletes in America.
And then in 2023, they also spent $1.3 million on sports science and medicine, which is also the sponsor. They say that's an expense, and they don't say it's a non-cash expense. I'm not sure if there's something funny going on with those two entities. They're both nonprofits. Hey, we're going to say we're going to charge you for this, but it's a non-cash contribution.
This sounds like the government.
I don't know what's going on there.
We need Elon Musk and
the
Department of Government and USAT efficiency.
Yeah, I could do it. You don't need those guys. I could do it for less. Yeah, it's a plane ticket and open access. Anyway, and
you're not going to get it.
So it's a.
So I want to kind of lead.
It's a dark hole.
So since we actually did talk about financials,
yeah,
here's a teaser. We want to talk about Taekwondo Moneyball. This was mentioned on that other podcast a couple weeks ago, I think with Juan and
the Warehouse 15 crowd.
With Juan and Terrence. Somebody said basically Moneyball with the data, and if you ever watched the movie Moneyball, it had to do with baseball, and they figured out it was first base.
It was how to get on base.
Yeah.
The only number that counted to the main number cruncher was, can they get on base? Whether it's a hit, a walk, you're hit by a pitch, whatever, do they get on base? And that's who they picked up for cheap. In Taekwondo, can you go to the big events?
Yes.
Go to the big events.
And if you're eligible, and if you're in the age bracket.
And if you're funded.
Because the goal, always remember the goal. More gold medals at the Olympics.
And so you have to go to the Olympics.
And to do that, you have to go to Grand Prix.
Right. And so here's another little thing. The CEO at that same July meeting last year was asked by the board, what's your outlook for 2028? How many Americans, how many U.S. athletes do you think are going to go? And he said, oh, it should be no big deal to get all 8 divisions. Yeah. We're going to get 4 automatically because we're the host. We usually get between 2 and 4 because we earn them. It'll be extraordinarily difficult to get more than 4. Extraordinary achievement. Let's aim for an extraordinary achievement to get 5 or 6.
Yes.
Forget about all 8. 5 or 6. Let's aim for it.
All right. I think we've covered everything.
We did.
All right.
I started to rant.
It's okay. Jones out.
Let's out.